Welcome to this powerful journey of transformation. If you're ready to unlock the hidden force within you that attracts miracles effortlessly, you're exactly where you need to be. Before we begin, make sure you become a member of our channel, Neville Manifestation, where we dive deeper into mastering your inner world and creating extraordinary realities. Take a moment and really sit with this idea. What if you were naturally magnetic to miracles? Most people imagine miracles as something rare, something extraordinary that only happens to a lucky few. But the truth is, miracles are not exceptions to life. They are part of its natural flow, and you have the ability to draw them into your experience simply by stepping into the state of being someone who attracts them. But what does it actually mean to live as if you are magnetic to miracles? It's not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe something unreal. It's a deeper shift, a change in your awareness. It's about recognizing that your consciousness is the true foundation of your reality. When you begin to see yourself as someone who naturally attracts miracles, that awareness starts to reshape everything around you. Your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world. Every situation you face, every experience you go through, is connected to your self-concept. And that self-concept is not fixed, you can change it. When you deliberately choose to see yourself as someone who attracts miracles, and you imagine that version of yourself clearly and consistently, you begin to create a new reality that will eventually show up in your life. This understanding changes everything. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is at the mercy of circumstances, waiting for something good to happen. Instead, you realize you are the one creating the experience. When you assume the state of being magnetic to miracles, life begins to rearrange itself to reflect that assumption. So how do you actually do this? It comes down to your imagination and your feelings. Your imagination is not just for daydreaming, and your emotions are not just reactions. Together, they are the tools through which reality is formed. What you consistently imagine and feel to be true becomes accepted by your subconscious mind. And your subconscious does not question whether something is real or imagined. If you feel something deeply enough, it accepts it as truth and begins the process of bringing it into your physical experience. This is why drifting off to sleep while feeling like someone who naturally attracts miracles is so powerful. In that relaxed state, you are impressing a new identity onto your subconscious. This is not wishful thinking. It is creation happening from the inside out. You are aligning yourself with the deeper creative force that moves through everything, allowing it to express itself through you and as your life. At its core, being magnetic to miracles means understanding that your inner state is the source of everything you experience. When you change how you see yourself, your world begins to change as well. Your self-concept becomes the blueprint for your reality. There's a well-known line that says, "All things are possible to the one who believes." This is not just a nice idea, it's a principle. When you fully step into the feeling of being someone who attracts miracles, you change instantly on the inside. The outside world may take a little time to reflect that shift, but the transformation within you happens right away. This isn't about forcing visualizations or repeating empty affirmations. It's about fully stepping into the feeling of already being that person. When you do, your thoughts, reactions, and inner conversations begin to match that identity naturally. You no longer think like someone who is waiting for a miracle. You think like someone who expects them. Imagine someone who has always believed life is hard and that good things happen to others, not them. Their inner dialogue is filled with doubt and limitation. Now imagine that same person deciding to change. As they lie in bed at night, they begin to feel what it would be like to be someone whose life is full of unexpected blessings. They allow themselves to feel the excitement, the gratitude, the sense of ease. They fall asleep in that state, and when they wake up, something is different. Even if nothing has changed on the outside yet, they are no longer the same person inside. That new identity starts to influence their actions, their choices, and the way they see the world. Over time, they begin to notice things they would have ignored before. Coincidences, opportunities, moments of alignment. They start taking steps they once avoided, and gradually, their life begins to reflect this new inner state. What once felt rare now feels natural. This approach applies to every area of life: career, relationships, health, and more. The key is to consistently assume the feeling of being someone whose life is filled with miracles. Go to sleep in that state. Let it sink into your subconscious, knowing it will grow and express itself in your reality. You might wonder if something this simple can really make such a big difference. But miracles are only rare if you believe they are. In the deeper level of consciousness where everything is created, there is no limitation. When you plant a new idea about who you are, it must eventually show up in your experience. The outer world has no power on its own. It reflects what you hold within. When you step into the state of being magnetic to miracles, you are giving life to a new version of reality. You are setting things in motion that will lead to visible change. But this shift doesn't always feel easy at first. Old patterns of thinking may try to pull you back. Doubts might appear. You might hear that inner voice telling you this isn't real. When that happens, don't fight it. Just notice it and gently return to your new state. The goal isn't to battle your old thoughts. It's to consistently return to the feeling of who you choose to be. Transformation happens through persistence, by staying aligned with your new identity, even when it doesn't feel natural yet. Think of it like tuning a radio. You don't try to eliminate every other station. You simply focus on the frequency you want to hear. In the same way, you don't need to fight your current reality. You just keep tuning yourself to the state of being magnetic to miracles. As you do this again and again, it becomes easier. That new state starts to feel normal. And once it feels natural, your world begins to reflect it in ways that feel almost effortless. Becoming someone who naturally attracts miracles is really about tuning yourself to that version of you. And this tuning happens through your imagination and your ability to hold on to the feeling of already being that person. Think of your imagination like a dial. It lets you shift into different versions of reality. When you consistently imagine yourself as someone who effortlessly attracts miracles and you actually feel it as real, you begin aligning yourself with that exact experience. From there, life starts bringing you situations that match that inner state. But it's important to understand something. Even though the inner shift can happen in an instant, the moment you truly step into that state, the outer results may take some time to fully appear. Just like planting a seed, once it's in the ground, it will grow, but it still moves through its natural process. So if you don't see immediate changes around you, don't lose faith. The moment you fully accepted that new identity, things were already set into motion. As you continue living from this state, you'll notice your perception changing. Things that once felt like coincidence will begin to feel meaningful. Situations that once seemed like problems will start to look like opportunities for something better to unfold. You'll begin to see yourself differently as someone who truly attracts miracles. Now you might be wondering how to stay in this state without slipping back into old patterns. The key isn't just intensity, it's the understanding that comes with the experience. Once you've felt what it's like, even in your imagination, to be someone who attracts miracles, you've already touched a deeper truth about yourself. That feeling becomes something you can return to again and again. There will be moments where doubt shows up. That's normal. When it happens, don't fight it. Just remember the feeling you experienced when you fully stepped into that new state. Let that memory guide you back. Each time you return to it, you strengthen this new version of yourself. What really makes this work powerful is how real you allow it to feel. When you're lying in bed, preparing to sleep, don't just think about it. Experience it. See yourself living as someone who naturally attracts miracles. Hear the reactions of people around you, amazed at how things always seem to work out for you. Feel the gratitude, the excitement, the sense of ease that comes with that life. Make it so vivid that it feels completely natural, almost indistinguishable from reality. But here's something very important. Don't focus too much on one specific outcome. This isn't about visualizing one single miracle. It's about becoming the kind of person for whom miracles are normal. For example, instead of imagining only one event, like winning money or fixing a specific problem, focus on the overall feeling of being someone whose life is filled with unexpected blessings. Walk through life in your mind as that version of you. Feel the confidence, the calm expectation, the quiet certainty that good things are always unfolding. When you focus on the state instead of the specific result, you allow life to surprise you in ways that are often bigger and better than what you could have planned. You open the door to possibilities that your current thinking might not even be able to imagine yet. This is the real art of it. It's not about forcing belief in something specific. It's about aligning yourself with the deeper truth of who you are a person connected to a creative force that naturally brings things into form. It's about living each day from that higher version of yourself. As you keep practicing this, you'll start noticing small shifts in your daily life. Maybe things start lining up more easily. Maybe you meet the right people at the right time. Maybe opportunities appear in ways that feel almost too perfect to be random. These are signs that something is changing within you and it's beginning to reflect outward. Don't ignore these moments, appreciate them. Let them remind you that what you're doing is working. At the same time, don't become obsessed with chasing them. Just notice them, feel grateful, and continue living from your new state. As you stay consistent, those small shifts can turn into bigger changes. You might find problems solving themselves in ways you didn't expect. Goals that once felt far away might start coming within reach more easily. Life can begin to feel lighter, more open, more full of possibility. And eventually, something deeper happens. You realize that the real goal was never just the outer miracles. The real transformation is who you've become on the inside. When you fully step into this state, you no longer need proof from the outside. You already feel complete. You already know who you are. And interestingly, it's from this place of inner certainty that the most powerful changes tend to happen. When you're no longer chasing miracles, but simply living as someone who expects them, they begin to show up more naturally. Now, some people might ask, what about action? Don't we have to do something in the physical world? The answer is yes. Action still matters, but it becomes different. Instead of forced effort or struggle, your actions start to feel guided. They come from a place of confidence rather than doubt. You move because it feels right, not because you're trying to fix something. That's when everything begins to flow. Your inner state leads and your outer world follows. What really matters in this process is the kind of action you take. It's not about forcing yourself to do things mitoch lakhats or anxiety. It's about inspired action, movement that comes naturally when you're truly living from the feeling that you attract miracles. When you're in that state, ideas begin to show up on their own. Opportunities seem to find you. You feel a quiet pull towards certain choices, certain paths. And the difference is clear. These actions don't feel heavy or stressful. They feel light, almost effortless. It's like they arise naturally from who you've become. That's the real shift, going from trying to make things happen to allowing them to unfold. When you're trying to force results, everything feels tense. Your actions come from fear, from doubt, from the need to control. But when you're truly embodying the state of being someone who attracts miracles, your actions are guided. There's a sense of inner knowing that leads you exactly where you need to go without struggle. Think of it like a flower blooming. A flower doesn't push or strain to open. It doesn't worry about whether it's growing fast enough. It simply unfolds, naturally expressing what it already is. In the same way, when you live as someone who is magnetic to miracles, your life begins to open up with ease. You're not forcing anything. You're allowing your natural potential to express itself. But allowing doesn't mean doing nothing. It's not passive. It takes intention. It takes choosing, again and again, to return to that inner state. You use your imagination deliberately. You stay consistent in embodying the version of yourself who already lives this reality. And it also takes faith. Not blind faith in something outside of you, but a deep trust in your own consciousness. A trust that what you assume to be true internally must eventually take shape externally. This kind of faith isn't about hoping something will happen someday. It's about knowing right now that you already are that person and that your outer world is catching up to that truth. As you continue in this way, you'll begin to notice small changes, little moments that feel almost too perfect to be random. Maybe someone says exactly what you needed to hear. Maybe a problem suddenly resolves in an unexpected way. Maybe you meet someone at just the right time and it opens a new door. Don't overlook these moments. They matter. They're signs that something is shifting. They're like breadcrumbs, showing you that your inner change is already influencing your outer experience. At the same time, don't chase them or become overly focused on them. Just notice, appreciate, and keep moving forward in your new state. Some people worry that focusing on attracting miracles might make them self-centered or disconnected from others. But the truth is the opposite. When you raise your own state of consciousness, you naturally uplift the people around you. You become an example of what's possible. Your life starts to reflect more ease, more flow, more unexpected goodness, and that energy spreads. You have more to give, more to share. Your presence alone can inspire others to see new possibilities in their own lives. So this isn't just about improving your personal situation, even though that will happen. It's about aligning yourself with something much deeper, the limitless creative nature of life itself. It's about recognizing that you are not separate from that power. You are an expression of it. When you live from this place, things begin to come together in a way that feels almost magical. Ideas flow to you. Opportunities appear at the right time. The right people enter your life naturally. Everything starts to feel more connected, more in sync. And the key thing to remember is that this isn't coming from somewhere outside of you. It's not about trying to control or impress some external force. This is simply what happens when your inner state is aligned with who you really are. You are the source of it. You are the one creating the shift. You are the one allowing this new reality to take shape. So as you move forward, don't treat this like a technique you use occasionally. Let it become part of how you live. Use your imagination fully. Step into the feeling of being someone who naturally attracts miracles. Let it feel normal. Let it feel real. Return to that state as often as you can. Stay with it. Trust it. And as you do, you'll begin to see your world change in ways that reflect that inner transformation, bringing more ease, more opportunities, and more moments that feel nothing short of extraordinary. There's a deeper layer to this idea that most people miss, and it's this. Being magnetic to miracles isn't something you switch on occasionally. It's an identity you stabilize into. At first, it feels like something you practice. You imagine, you feel it, you remind yourself. But over time, it becomes your default way of being. And when that happens, things don't just improve in isolated moments. Your entire relationship with life shifts. One of the biggest changes is how you interpret reality. Before, you might have seen delays, rejection, or uncertainty as signs that things aren't working. But when you're grounded in this state, you begin to see those same moments differently. A delay can feel like alignment. A rejection can feel like redirection. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from trust. That alone changes the outcomes you experience because you're no longer feeding situations with resistance. Another important piece is emotional consistency. It's easy to feel powerful when everything is going well. The real transformation happens when you can hold that inner state even when circumstances don't immediately reflect it. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending you don't feel anything. It means not letting temporary conditions define your identity. You can acknowledge what's happening while still choosing who you are within it. There's also a subtle but powerful shift in how you make decisions. Instead of asking, "What should I do to get what I want?" you begin asking, "What would the version of me who already has this naturally do?" That question changes everything. It moves you out of lack and into alignment. Your choices start coming from completeness instead of need, and that naturally leads you toward better outcomes. Patience plays a role here too, but not the kind that feels like waiting. It's more like quiet certainty. You're not sitting around hoping something will happen. You're living your life with the understanding that things are already unfolding. This removes urgency, and without urgency, you stop making rushed or fear-based decisions. Ironically, that's when things tend to come together faster. Another layer is how you relate to control. When you're not in alignment, you feel the need to control every detail. You try to predict outcomes, manage every step, and avoid uncertainty. But when you trust that you're already aligned with the outcome, you don't need to control the how. You become open, flexible, receptive, and that openness allows solutions and opportunities to appear in ways you couldn't have planned. Gratitude also becomes more natural, but not forced. It's not about listing things just to feel better. It's a genuine appreciation that comes from recognizing that something is already working in your favor. Even small things start to feel meaningful, and that feeling reinforces your state, which in turn brings more experiences that match it. You may also notice that your intuition becomes clearer. When your mind isn't crowded with doubt or overthinking, it's easier to sense what feels right. You start trusting those subtle nudges more, and the more you follow them, the more you see that they lead somewhere meaningful. This builds even deeper trust in yourself. There's also a shift in how you relate to time. Instead of feeling like you're chasing something in the future, you begin to feel like you're living it now, internally. That removes the sense of distance between you and what you want. And when there's no sense of distance, there's less resistance. At some point, you stop needing constant reassurance. You don't look for signs to prove it's working because you already feel it is. And interestingly, that's when signs tend to show up even more, not because you need them, but because you're aligned with them. This way of living also changes how you interact with others. You're less reactive, less defensive. You don't feel the need to prove yourself or compete. There's a calm confidence in how you show up. and people can feel that. It changes your relationships, often without you trying. And maybe the most important shift is this: you stop seeing miracles as rare or extraordinary events. They become part of your normal experience. Not always dramatic, but consistent. Life feels more supportive, more responsive, more alive. It's not that challenges disappear completely, it's that your experience of them changes. You feel more equipped, more centered, less shaken. And because of that, challenges tend to resolve more smoothly. In the end, this isn't about controlling reality. It's about aligning with a version of yourself that naturally experiences reality in a different way. And from that place, what once felt difficult starts to feel simple. What once felt distant starts to feel close. And what once felt impossible starts to feel normal. Being magnetic to miracles is not about chasing extraordinary moments, but becoming the version of yourself for whom they are natural. When you shift your inner state, trust your imagination, and move with inspired action, life begins to reflect that alignment effortlessly. What once felt rare starts to feel normal, and what once felt distant begins to unfold with ease. Stay rooted in that identity, and you'll realize the greatest miracle was never outside of you. It was the power within you all along.